Yeah, for me, I just, you know, any excuse, anything to meet up with someone who was prepared to put some work into some music I've written, and then to see how it evolves in them, that's a fabulous moment. And usually someone will say, you know, Stephen, would you not write me a little piece? And what starts as something small may grow into a larger format. It could be 2 or 3 years before, oh yeah, I actually, yeah, there's something there that I really want to work on. And it's not an egotistical thing, it's a time thing. I have a number of projects that I'm writing on currently, working and doing that. Even though you write it in 2 days, you may be orchestrating for another 8 months or re-editing. And the problem is that it's time versus, you know, the practicality of getting a finished product. I used to be, you know, mad keen to get into Care Castle, and I would take a grand piano on ramps on a trolley and actually deliver the piano. And you know, it was the process of doing that. But I mean, that only ran for about 10 years or so in the 80s. And that was just something I was doing, you know. And I used to get on the bus, go to London, and give a concert there and come back as if nothing had happened. You know, I didn't really think about it. I don't have the kind of impetus drive to want to set up or promote concerts in a sense, because I'm so really very, very busy composing, and the composing is getting better and better and better as it goes on. Well, I like to think so, but it actually is. It's kind of reaching a state where it's demanding more and more time.
I met Stephen through some friends that we had in common, all jazz musicians around Cork, and at that stage I only knew him as a jazz piano player. I didn't realise he was a classical composer as well. We've done several projects together. I did a recital premiering some of his vocal compositions in the Triskel along with jazz standards, and there was a series of concerts in the Holman Chapel in UCC. Then he approached me to record half of the miniatures for violin and piano that I had written for Middle Kingdom.
I needed a number of violinists to carry the amount of music because there was 90 minutes, there was 25 pieces, and Claire Ann agreed to work on that with me, together with two other violinists that were Czech, and I co-produced it, so I used the studios in Czech Republic and in Dublin, but the Irish violinist, we used Pulse recording. Yeah, she had an awful lot to carry, almost 44 minutes of recorded music.
That was all very progressive, very difficult to learn violin music. It was a real challenge. It took a good 3 or 4 months to just learn the dots. Not easy at all.
But she's an amazing musician, because even at 3:30 in the morning we were dropping in sections of music which we wanted to re-edit, and she was there ready to go fresh, hitting every note perfectly, and tremendous achievement for such a young musician.
It's a great privilege to work with a living composer and to be able to give them your own thoughts and your own input and have that taken into consideration. Like, I remember one day we were sitting at the piano rehearsing, and there was just some silly interval in a song that I really, really liked, and the next day Stephen had written a song with this interval in it, and that doesn't happen with Cole Porter because he's dead now. So it's great in that way to have your own personality taken into consideration.
My jazz playing has always been a fascination. I don't think jazz is the main thing for me, or the fact that I drive jazz. I just seem to be there in a situation where I love to sit down and you know, enter a composition through jazz improvisation, and I'm talking about the standards of jazz. Also, I like to get completely worked up and play in very, very frenetic situations where there's a lot of people, late night, maybe play for 4 to 6 hours, you know, non-stop without a break, and get into a high level of musicality through that, and start to look at the interiors of how the music works in your own mind. Also, it doesn't work without that beautiful interaction with other people, and the fact that the music does come about because of that. It doesn't work on your own. So, jazz playing, I've always been doing it. I was in a jazz ensemble with about 13 various bands, things that have come along the way. But it's just a day off. It's a day at the zoo.
I think I met Stephen about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and he came up to my place to do a rehearsal, and he thought there was actually a big piano up in the house, and he came up and there was a small little toy thing that he had to play with, and he wasn't impressed at all. We went and did a gig the next day. It was myself, Stephen, Claire Ann on vocals, and Stephen O'Keefe on guitar. And at the end of it, we did Angel Eyes, Frank Sinatra tune. And like, nobody spoke at the end of it. It was amazing. And his playing is just like, it's fantastic throughout it. But every time I played with him since, if you're not on the ball with him, you'll end up just getting totally lost. I probably will try and get to play with him more, even if it's only rehearsals, because I find that his playing brings my own playing up 11, because he's such an amazing player, and the stuff that he does is unbelievable. He starts pushing the rhythms across the bar line and everything, which is amazing, and if you're not listening, you'll just get completely lost, where you won't know where you are, and then he starts substituting all different chords, so you just really have to be on the money with what you're playing. But like once you get past that, and you hear everything that he's doing, it's really inspiring, and it just really pushes your own playing, which is fantastic. And I find that my playing is after getting much better since I started playing with him, and I started thinking about more ways to play an individual tune. It'll never be played the same way twice.
I think the whole sum total about music is the older you get, the more experience you have, the better your horizons start to look. And I think that even though I'm always working on 4 or 5 projects, I'm gradually getting stronger and stronger in the writing, recording and the performance of these pieces. And I'm really looking forward to the next 40 or 50 years, because I really want to get that amount of time out of myself. So it's a kind of an energy thing. I'm very much looking forward to developing improvised music, but I'm also looking forward to writing very solid, very clearly orchestrated scores, because the symphonic orchestra is the most really important thing to me as a composer.